storing carbon in agricultural, a collaborative approach involving farmers and agricultural food company and research. Please, Jonan.
Hello, everyone. Can you see my presentation? Or
yes, of course.
Do you see the right screen?
Yes.
Which screen do you see?
I see double screen.
Wait.
Yeah. So, oh, perfect. Now it's perfect. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Perfect. So I'm Jonah Eman. So I work at Natais. We are a small ag-food company based in the southwest of France. And today I want to talk to you about what we at our small level have worked on, the project we've been working on. So just quickly to give you a bit of context, who we are. So we are the European leader in popcorn. So we produce about 40% of the European. We have about 40% market share in Europe. So we have two main activities. We do microwave bags. So I'm sure you know what I mean by microwave bags. So these bags that you put in the microwave for 3 minutes and that will make the popcorn pop. So we produce 210 million bags a year. We grow around 55,000 tons of popcorn every year. So we work we contract directly with growers, so which we have in our area in the southwest of France, and we have a team that will follow up the growers on a day-to-day basis, which I'll come back to it later, which also helps to implement the project we're trying to achieve. So I mean, we did 65 million turnover last year, and we are on a strong. We export most of our production, which also impacts the way we implemented the project, because, for example, in France we see a few national initiatives on carbon sequestration, but the issue we have in that is that most of our customers don't know about the initiatives because it's a French initiative, and which is not recognized at the export. And sort of, as I said, most of our production is in the southwest of France, and we've always been strongly involved in research and innovation at all levels of the company. So when we started our Naturellement Popcorn project, the goals, what were the goals? It was to increase soil fertility through natural process by increasing soil carbon storage. How do we achieve that? Mainly through the use of cover crops and reduced tillage. We wanted to enable farmers to have a higher revenue, because we believe that farmers that are putting a lot of effort into storing carbon in their soils should be rewarded for that. And also because we have that direct connection from the farmers to our customers, we think we have a good position to add value to the whole chain and to meet consumers and industry demands for sustainability and agroecology. So just to explain how where we came from and where we are now. So we come from a family background. So that the company was started by my father in 1991, and since the beginning we've been convinced that we've been really passionate about farming in a more sustainable way. So since the beginning, we've tried to implement what we thought were sustainable farming practices with the farmers we started working with over the years. And so we tried to implement a lot of these practices with our growers. We are in an area where there's strong slopes, so soil erosion is a big topic in our area, and so the first way, or the first incentives we put in place were to encourage farmers to put in cover crops. So what we did at that time was, if the grower would put a cover crop in, we'd give him a fixed bonus per ton of corn that he would have delivered to us. But it was just a simple yes/no. If he put in cover crops, we'd give him extra few euros per ton, and that bonus pretty much covered the cost of putting in place the cover crop. And so a few years ago, we thought, how can we bring that a bit further and improve even more the use of cover crops? And so we went from a model where we were encouraging good practices to a model where we wanted to encourage good results. So we thought the best tool to do that, or the best indicator to use, was a carbon storage indicator, because carbon storage, if we store carbon, that means we reduce erosion, we improve water retention, we improve biodiversity in the soils, we have healthier plants, which means we potentially can use less fertilizer and less pesticides over time, because I mean, it takes time to improve soil conditions. We can achieve higher yields, and also for the farmer, socially, within his the relationship to his neighbor and generally to the grand public, talking about carbon and being able to communicate that we're sequestering carbon, we believe is a real way of making the farmer proud of what he's doing again. And I'm sure the situation is probably a bit different in the different countries, but in France, farmers are often accused of a lot of, let's say, bad things. So we thought the carbon sequestration is a really good indicator, and we wanted to find a way to encourage farmers to increase their carbon sequestration. So we started working with two research companies in France. They're based in Toulouse, not too far away from where we are. And one of them, the CESBio, they're a research company specialized in analyzing satellite imagery. And so we've been working with them since 3 years now, 3 or 4 years, on improving their model, which allows us to calculate at quite an accurate level the biomass produced in the fields using satellite imagery. So satellite imagery has an advantage, is that, well, it's easily scalable. So we just have to put in the system the boundaries of the fields, and then it can quite accurately and easily every week tell us how much carbon has been stored in this field by converting the biomass produced by the cover crops into a carbon stored in the soil. So that's what we've been working on with the CESBio, and now we started that up with a group of pilot farms, and we're planning for the year 2023 on a new contract to pay the farmers based on the biomass, and so on the carbon that would be stored in the fields. So we talk about long-term carbon storage. The idea is then progressively to make that model evolve so that we can also take into account more, different other parameters so that we are more accurate. But it's important to note that the main way to improve the carbon footprint of the farmer and carbon storage is definitely by increasing the sequestration. All the other, if we talk about inputs or machinery, are actually relatively low or don't count for a lot in the general carbon footprint of the farmer. So this is where we are now, and why we chose this approach is because, as we mentioned multiple times during the presentation, there's a lot of initiatives in rising with different approaches to carbon storage and carbon measurement. We feel like there's still it's going to need a few years until things structure themselves, and I know this morning you talked about double counting of carbon credits, but we wanted to implement something in a quite pragmatic way, which works for us, which really encourages farmers to make sure they can to encourage farmers to sequestrate more carbon, and in an easy manner and quite understandable, quite something that's quite easy to understand, and also that's quite easy to explain to our customers. And we're starting to talk about that, what we're doing with our customers, and we're managing to get a bit of extra to add to, well, we're creating value to our customers also through that. And I'm not saying that we'll still be in that particular system in 5 years, because things are moving quite quickly, but and perhaps we'll find a carbon storage initiative where we can join, that reflects what we think carbon storage system, a measurement system should look like. But at the minute, we feel we're quite happy with that system, because it really enables us to communicate, to give a real incentive to the farmer to increase his carbon storage. Yes, so that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you, and what we're doing here at Natais.
Thank you, Jonah, for your very interesting presentation and for your best practice. Please, Tiziana, go with the...
Yeah, thank you, Giovanni. I was, in fact, very impressed by your presentation. Very interesting farm experience. And yes, I will pick up a couple of questions. The first that is from Shurpali. What was the spatial resolution of satellite image analysis? Was the decisive analysis performed at the peak biomass growth?
So we used the Sentinel satellite, which has a 10-meter resolution, and so with the advantage is that it takes a picture, or it captures imagery every 3 to 4 days. And so we can follow quite regularly the growing of the cover crops, and obviously we'll take the peak biomass as the reference for the stored carbon. And in the case of, which can happen, in the case of clouds being in the way when there's when the satellite is taking pictures. We have a model that will estimate the growth of the cover crop depending on the weather, and by using radar satellite, we can say when the cover crop has been terminated and still have an accurate measurement of the carbon that's been stored through the cover crop, even if we have maybe a week or two without a proper satellite imagery.
Thank you, Jonah, for the answer. And we have time just for another question. Do you measure carbon and nitrous oxide emission, and that is lost from the corn field?
No, we don't. But it's actually one thing we are starting to work on, because we just did a carbon footprint audit of the factory, which also takes into consideration all the emissions happening before and after the factory, so with our growers and our consumers and our customers. And one big factor is actually the use of fertilizer and the emissions that can happen when using nitrogen fertilizer. And so this is something we're going to start to work on in the next few months. How can we measure it better, and how can we help the growers reduce the emissions by best practice? I mean, putting it at the right time, not before. Well, try to put it before it rains and things like that, by using best practices.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonah. And I'm sorry, but for time constraints, we need to go ahead. But I will ask all the speakers to answer the question in the question and answer